Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Local Works Wheat Ridge, provided by its Executive Director, Paige Piper.
Local Works is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to make Wheat Ridge a more vibrant and sustainable place to live and work. Our mission and action is programming that provides neighborhood revitalization and small business support, keeping and growing the businesses we know and love in Wheat Ridge. In simpler form, we provide connection. Connection to business, connection to community.
This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Meg Smith.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. I'm here today with Dominic Lucero of Colorado Treks. How are you, Dom?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. And it was so wonderful to meet you. I'll give our little co-working space, Creative Locale, a plug here as well. So they're located at, I think it's 18th and Kipling. And anyway, they're great co-working space, event space. And that's how Dom and I met, because we are part of the networking club at Creative Locale. So I'm so happy. You're my first interview from the networking club.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So tell everyone a little bit about Colorado Treks.
Sure. Colorado Treks is a local nonprofit established here in Denver in 2016. The intention was to break down the barriers for our underserved youth families and communities in the Denver metro area to access what we call the medicine of the mountains, also known as the outdoor experiences. So we've been in existence since 2016, and it's really been snowballing recently, and we're just super excited to continue to serve the community in the way we do.
Well, that's wonderful. And I love the medicine of the mountain. That's fantastic, because it's so true. You know, you get up there and everything's better. You just feel better about everything, about life, the world.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that's one of the main reasons why just myself and our community is so invested in breaking down these barriers, because we know that oftentimes underserved communities do not have just access to these impacts on our mind, body, and spirit. These activities, whether it's something as stressful as like rock climbing, or if it's just sitting by a creek. We know that everybody should be allowed these opportunities to reset, reconnect, and find balance. But as myself, as a youth and adult, I had barriers in front of me. And so as I continued to break down those barriers for myself, I was like, how can I do this for others in my community?
Absolutely. And so I know you were an educator before this. So how did you transition from, the world of education to the nonprofit world, and eventually with Colorado Treks?
Well, it wasn't difficult. I think throughout my 20 years educating here in the Denver metro area in public schools and charter schools, I always incorporated that gathering in outdoor spaces and using those outdoor spaces as an education center, right? The brick and mortar walls, they just tend to consume us. And I myself, as a youth and an adult, I find the best experiences of learning are in the outdoors. And so I would always incorporate field trips, but they wouldn't be like the normal field trip of just like outdoor education. We would have some in-depth conversations of how do these new spaces and places make you feel? What are the connections that we seek when we're out there? And what is it that we tend to leave behind, right? And heal from. And so in the classrooms that I worked within, they were special ed classrooms with students with social emotional disabilities. I was that youth. As a youth growing up in Denver, I experienced a lot of trauma. And so I placed myself in those shoes of the youth that I was supporting and working with, and figured out what really worked for me and what could I also support others in seeking that clarity and that balance. And so it was really a no-brainer. And I think what happened over the 20 years in these school systems I started to realize that I can have greater impacts out of these systems. And oftentimes when the systems fail you, we create our own systems. And so that's what I did with Colorado Treks. I founded the program in 2016, was still educating until 2019 and resigned to run Colorado Treks full time. And now we get to teach in a different environment with different resources and greater impacts.
I love that. Greater impacts. That's what it's about. You're, yeah, having the impact that you desired to have in the education system, but you're doing it better. And that's awesome. Well, I love what you're doing. I love that, you're making the outdoors accessible.
Yeah, it's almost like seeing the yellow brick road, but not being able to access that road, right? We look at the mountains daily, all of our residents here in the Denver metro area. But oftentimes we feel like this is a playground that is not inclusive or welcoming. And so I pride myself on this work not being a position, but my purpose. And we seek and we find other individuals that are our team members that have that same kind of purpose of just providing something that is not accessible for community members that has just such a great impact on our mind, body, and spirit. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. I'd like to talk about a little bit about Colorado Treks and what we do, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely. Dive in.
Yes, thank you. So a little bit of Colorado Treks. Yes, we break down the barriers to these outdoor and cultural experiences. And we say cultural experiences because the outdoors is a cultural experience for a lot of Coloradans and people from out the world. They travel to Colorado for our medicine of our mountains. And so what we do in our programming is we have youth programming throughout the school year. And we often take the schools and classrooms out on outdoor engagements and activities and treks throughout the school time. And then on weekends, throughout the school year, we also plan outdoor treks so that way those students can include their family members. It's really important for us to include family in these experiences because that's how culture grows, right? And when the whole family is included, it becomes a process and it just becomes natural. And so on the weekends, we like to include families as well. And then in the summertime, our programming is open to all ages, youth and families as well. And that's why we like to say when we serve youth, families, and communities, we are reactivating and re-engaging our community members and then growing our community even larger. And those activities that we do, everything. So we just transitioned out of our winter programmings from skiing and snowshoeing and snowboarding, ice fishing, ice climbing, all these amazing winter activities. And so now we're moving forward into our spring and summer programming where it's rock climbing, fly fishing clinics, horseback riding, ranch days, gardening, backcountry camping trips and fly fishing trips and hiking as well. And so yes, what we say with Colorado Treks is that we have this medicine cabinet, which are our outdoor experiences or outdoor activities. And we're trying to make sure that that medicine cabinet is accessible for anybody who wants it and needs it. But also, we know that there's some activities or things in our medicine cabinet that we don't have. And that's where we seek the input from our community members, the people that we serve. What would you like in your medicine cabinet, right? If rock climbing is my thing, but it's not your thing, a lot of our community members just want to sit by a creek. That's where we like to build that relationship. And so that way we can help provide what is not in our cabinet and making sure that everybody is getting that dosage of medicine, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a really amazing thing that I get to call a job, right? But it's not my position. I think a position is something that we start at 9 and end at 5, right? And this is my purpose. It's something that I've really been passionate about it since I was a little boy. I remember going to the mountains with my grandparents. My grandfather is the one that really introduced me to this medicine in the mountains. And I remember even as a 7, 8, 9-year-old boy reflecting on why am I the only kid who looks like me? Why is it that me and grandpa are the only ones that look like us? And why is it that we get treated a little bit differently, right? And not on the positive aspect, but why do we get treated negatively more than others? And
Hmm.
so I would come home as a child and I would talk about these experiences with friends and family, but they're like, hey, Dom, I don't do that with my families. You're the only one in my neighborhood, in our hood, in our barrio that does these outdoor things. And so
Hmm.
I started to realize that at a young age that something needed to be done.
Yeah, it wasn't accessible,
Yeah, and it
and it
wasn't
was.
accessible. So
Yeah.
fast forward, to 2016, I decided what am I going to do with my privileges and my skill sets and my tools and my resources, and how am I going to really take this thing that's been in my heart for the longest, serving
I
community.
love it. Oh, this is such a great story. Yeah, and you're providing all these experiences that, people can't get to. And even to get them to the mountains is an achievement, but you're providing elevated experiences like skiing and snowboarding, which is costly, and you're raising the funds to provide that. And that's amazing because, just getting to the mountains is hard enough.
Yes, our
So,
major barriers are transportation, funding,
mhm,
and the sense of belonging, right? And
yeah.
so we do all that, right? And what we really pride ourselves on in our program is that it's all free at no cost. We
Mhm.
know the community members and the youth and the families that we serve are experiencing so much. And what we want to do is break down those barriers. And so we provide transportation, we provide the food, we provide the clothing and the equipment for experiences like skiing and rock climbing. And most importantly, we provide a safe space and a welcoming space. And I think that's super, super important. And I think that's what everybody wants, is just that
Yeah.
sense of belonging.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So people can get involved on multiple levels with you, right? So they might know someone who would benefit from participating. They
Mhm.
might know someone, or they themselves might want to volunteer in some way. And you also need equipment.
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about kind of those three ways, or if there are even more ways.
Sure.
I mean, monetary donations are another way, but talk
Right.
about how they can get involved, how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you. So our website is super informative. If you are interested in volunteering, there's some tabs to volunteer, and we go through the process of background checks and informing and training, cultural responsive training, allowing the volunteer to support what skill sets they have, and that's what builds community, right? We're all in this together. We're all the learners, and we're also each individual is an educator. So we have that awesome opportunity for volunteers to get involved right away, and for participants, there's also wonderful links. And we have a link that talks about our upcoming treks. It's a calendar of our upcoming outdoor experiences. Youth, families, parents, community members can click on our tabs. There's easy ways to register for the specific event. And then we have our waivers that are also linked up to these activities as well. Those who have resources and or materials, right? Slightly used or new, and we always mention that because safety first, right? And a lot of the outdoor experiences that we do, safety is the number one priority, and some of the things that we do are really intense, right? And so that gear has to be long lasting, and it has to be safe and kind of like certified and approved. That gear can range from anything from rock climbing gear to like harnesses, ropes, clips, climbing shoes, helmets, any of the above. New and slightly used fishing poles, fishing equipment, lures, camping equipment. Oftentimes we have wonderful supporters who have cleared out their garage, right? And they do have wonderful camping equipment, but this is oftentimes it's generationally used equipment. And we think, well, we don't think, we know, if your first experience is usually your worst, then it's usually your last. And
Mhm.
in the outdoor environments, those experiences that tend to be really negative often are because we're under resourced, or we're not equipped with the right supplies, right? Anything from a backpack to nice raincoats, water bottles, just some of the like Colorado 101 starter kits for outdoor experiences, like the backpack and what we would put in there for a wonderful day experience, right? And so Also, some of the equipment ranges from, we have outfitter tents, and some of these tents are very expensive. They're anywhere from like $3,000 to $4,000, right? And so we have like 4 of them right now because we do big trips with families, and these outfitter tents can sleep like eight individuals, and they also have wood burning stoves. And so we're really trying to introduce our community members to top of the line equipment, because we also know with branding and you get what you pay for, right? And so we want to put these products and this good equipment on our participants' sense of belonging, sense of identity and welcoming, and then the sense of safety and comfort with amazing gear like ice climbing jackets. I'm not sure if the listeners are out there are familiar with the ice climbing community and the equipment, but something as big as like a big puffy down jacket can cost anywhere from $800.
Wow.
So currently we are graciously thankful for all the support that we get from different organizations and businesses that either donate land or give us discounted prices. But just this morning, I just filled out a grant application for 200 backpacks for our participants this summer to keep and take on their treks with them throughout the summer, and hopefully as long as that equipment lasts. So just a little snippet. I can go on and on.
Yes, I know there's so much wonderful, information to share, but it's all on the website. So say the website again.
Yes, Colorado Treks, TREKS.org. coloradotreks.org.
Yeah, so anyone interested in learning more and participating or referring, please go to the website, check it out, and help Dom bring this wonderful experience to everyone that he can, because you're doing something really special, and I'm happy to be able to share your story. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in the future. So this will just be one of a little series of communications on your behalf. So thanks again. And everyone check out the website, coloradotreks.org.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwestdenver.com. That's gnpwestdenver.com or call 720-295-9588.